Welcome to the channel. You are here in a calm place now. A place where you don't need to do anything. You don't need to think. You don't need to understand every word. Just let the sound stay with you softly as you rest. Take a slow breath. And as you breathe out, allow the day to loosen its grip. Nothing is waiting for you right now. This moment belongs only to you. When the world becomes quiet, something else becomes loud. Not outside, inside. Many people notice it late at night, when lights are dim and voices fade. Others feel it early in the morning, before the day begins. A gentle heaviness. Not pain, not fear, just a presence. Like the mind is holding something it forgot to put down. This feeling doesn't arrive suddenly. It forms slowly, quietly, over time. It is made of small moments. Moments that didn't feel important at the time. A thought pushed aside. A worry postponed. A feeling ignored. Because there was no time. The mind remembers everything, even what we choose not to notice. And when the body finally rests, the mind begins to speak.
In the stillness, thoughts drift in without effort. Old conversations replay, words you didn't say, words you wish you had. The mind edits the past gently, as if searching for something it missed. Then it moves forward. Tomorrow, next week, someday. Plans appear, not as clear pictures, but as feelings. A sense of responsibility, a quiet pressure to be better, faster, stronger. None of this feels dramatic. That's why it's powerful. The mind doesn't shout, it whispers. And whispers are harder to silence. Over time, the brain learns to stay slightly alert, even during rest. It waits. For what? It doesn't know. It just waits. And waiting becomes a habit. So even in safe moments, the body relaxes, but the mind stays half awake, guarding, monitoring, preparing. Not because danger is coming, but because the world trained it to be ready. As morning arrives, the mind doesn't reset. It continues, like a river that never stops flowing. Before the eyes fully open, thoughts have already started moving. Today's tasks, yesterday's regrets, invisible expectations that feel real. You haven't chosen them. They just arrive. And because they arrive every day, they feel normal. But normal doesn't always mean healthy.
The mind begins to measure itself against others, against time, against imagined versions of who you should be by now. These comparisons don't hurt sharply. They drain slowly, like water wearing down stone. Throughout the day, attention is pulled in many directions. A sound, a memory, a small urge to check something, to respond, to know. Each pull feels harmless on its own, but attention is not endless. Every shift takes energy, and when attention is scattered, energy leaks quietly. The brain adapts by moving faster, jumping from thought to thought, staying light on the surface of things. Depth begins to feel heavy. Stillness begins to feel uncomfortable. Silence feels unfinished. So the mind fills it. Even when nothing is required, the brain searches for stimulation, for meaning, for something to hold. This searching becomes automatic, and automatic things feel out of our control. By evening, a strange tiredness appears, not the kind that sleep fixes easily. A mental fatigue, a sense that much happened, but nothing settled. You may not remember what you did all day, but you feel empty and restless at the same time. This is the exhaustion of constant reaction, responding without pausing.
Moving without choosing, thinking without resting. And yet, the mind believes it must stay alert, because alertness feels safer than stillness. The brain cannot tell the difference between real danger and imagined urgency. It responds to both with tension. So when night comes, the body lies down, but the mind continues. Soft thoughts, quiet worries, gentle reminders of everything unfinished. They don't demand attention. They simply stay. Inside the mind, familiar voices appear. They sound reasonable, caring even. They speak in your own tone. Not now. Later will be easier. Wait until you feel ready. These voices don't rush you. They slow you down. And slowing down can feel safe. But safety can quietly become delay. And delay can quietly become distance from growth, from confidence, from the version of yourself that moves forward. The mind prefers what it knows, even if what it knows feels heavy. Change feels uncertain, so the mind waits. And waiting feels calm on the surface, but restless underneath. Because something inside knows there is more.
As night deepens, breathing slows, muscles soften, thoughts lose their sharp edges. The mind doesn't need answers right now. It doesn't need to solve anything. Nothing needs fixing in this moment. Thoughts can pass like clouds. Feelings can rise and fade like waves. You are allowed to rest here. And as you drift, the story continues, quietly, into the next space, where awareness begins to change, and the mind slowly learns a different way to exist. The story continues from the same quiet place. The body is resting now, but the mind is still awake in a soft way. Not alert, not tense, just aware. Like someone sitting near a window, watching the night without trying to understand it. In this space, something begins to shift. The mind starts to notice patterns it never questioned before. How thoughts arrive, how they leave, how some return again and again, wearing different shapes but carrying the same feeling. A familiar pressure, a familiar doubt, a familiar need to be somewhere else. But tonight, there is no rush to respond. The mind is simply observing, and observation changes things.
When the mind slows down enough, it realizes something important. Many thoughts are not problems. They are echoes, leftover energy from moments that never fully settled. A conversation that ended too quickly. A decision delayed too long. A fear that was never given words. The mind kept them safe, waiting for a quiet moment. And now, in the calm of this space, they appear. Not to disturb you, but to be released. You don't need to push them away. You don't need to follow them either. Just let them exist and pass, like leaves floating on water. The mind has spent a long time reacting to sounds, to expectations, to imagined outcomes. Reaction became automatic, faster than choice. But here, in this slow rhythm, something new appears. A pause, a small space between thought and response. And inside that space, there is freedom. Freedom to not answer every thought. Freedom to not solve every feeling. Freedom to let some things remain unfinished. This freedom feels strange at first. The mind is used to effort, used to holding, used to doing. So doing nothing feels unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. As this pause grows, the mind begins to understand something deeper. Many worries were never asking for solutions. They were asking for attention. They wanted to be seen, acknowledged, then allowed to rest. Once they are seen, their grip softens. They no longer need to repeat themselves. The mind learns that it does not have to carry everything at once. Some things can be put down. Some thoughts can wait. Some questions don't need answers tonight. This realization brings relief. Quiet relief. There is a rhythm to the mind when it is not rushed. Thoughts rise more slowly. They have space around them. They don't collide as often. And in this space, the mind feels lighter. Not empty, just less crowded. This is not silence. This is balance, a state when nothing is forced. In this calmer state, memories may appear. Not sharp ones, soft ones. Moments that once felt ordinary. A familiar voice. A place you felt safe. A time when learning felt natural, not pressured. These memories are not distractions. They are reminders. They remind the mind of how it feels to exist without urgency, before comparison, before constant measurement, before the need to prove anything.
The mind remembers. Confidence, the mind realizes, was never loud. It never announced itself. It appeared quietly, in moments of permission, when you allowed yourself to try, without demanding perfection, when you spoke without rehearsing every word, when you learned without fear of being slow. Confidence was a side effect of movement, not preparation, and this understanding settles gently. The mind has carried the idea that it must be ready before acting, that certainty must come first, that comfort is required before growth. But now another truth appears. Comfort grows after movement. Clarity grows after experience. Confidence grows after action. Waiting delays all of them. This thought does not create pressure. It creates softness, because it removes the demand to be perfect. As awareness deepens, the mind begins to separate identity from performance. You are not your mistakes. You are not your pauses. You are not your unfinished plans. You are the one observing them. This distance brings calm. When the mind stops identifying with every thought, it stops defending them, and defense was exhausting. Breathing becomes slower now, deeper. Each breath feels fuller, like the body is finally receiving permission to rest.
The nervous system responds. Muscles soften further. The jaw loosens. The forehead smooths. The body listens to the mind. And the mind is learning to be gentle. In this gentleness, learning feels different. Not like a task, not like a test. More like absorption. Words enter without pressure. Sounds settle without effort. Understanding forms quietly, beneath awareness. This is how the brain learns best. Not when pushed, but when relaxed. The mind realizes that speed was never the goal. Stability was. Depth was. Consistency was. Rushing only created tension. Slowness creates roots, and roots hold growth. Now the story reaches a softer place. A transition. The mind is no longer fighting itself. It is no longer chasing silence. It is resting inside awareness. Thoughts may still appear, but they feel distant, less urgent, less personal. You don't need to follow them. Sleep is closer now.
As this episode comes to rest, the mind drifts gently forward, not into effort, not into planning, into trust. Trust that nothing important is being missed. Trust that rest is productive. Trust that growth continues even in stillness. The story does not end here. It simply moves deeper, into the next space, where rest becomes renewal, and renewal quietly becomes change. The story moves even deeper now, without effort, without direction,
like drifting water finding its own path. The mind is quieter than before. Not empty, just spacious. Thoughts appear less often, and when they do, they feel softer, as if they know they are no longer in control. In this space, something important happens. The mind stops trying to fix itself. For a long time, it believed it needed improvement, that something inside was missing, that it had to become different before it could feel at ease. But now, there is a gentle understanding. Nothing is broken. The mind was only tired. Tired of holding expectations that were never spoken out loud. Tired of comparing itself to invisible standards. Tired of carrying responsibility without rest. And when tiredness is finally acknowledged, it begins to release. The body responds first. Breathing deepens even more. Each inhale feels calm. Each exhale feels like letting go of something old. The heartbeat slows. There is safety here. And safety allows the nervous system to soften in ways it hasn't for a long time. In this softened state, the mind becomes receptive, not alert, receptive, like open ground after rain. Learning does not feel like effort here. It feels like listening, like receiving. Words can pass through awareness gently. Sounds settle without resistance. Meaning forms quietly, without forcing attention. This is why rest matters. The brain does not grow when it is pressured. It grows when it is calm. And calm is not laziness. Calm is intelligence resting. The mind begins to see its past differently, not with judgment, with understanding. Moments that once felt like failure now feel like pauses. Delays now feel like preparation. Silence now feels like gathering strength. Nothing was wasted. Every moment shaped awareness. Every experience taught something. Even the difficult ones. Especially the quiet struggles that no one saw. Confidence, once imagined as something loud and bold, now feels different. It feels steady, quiet, patient. It does not need approval. It does not rush. It does not announce itself. It shows up in small choices. Choosing to try again. Choosing to speak softly. Choosing to continue even when unsure. This confidence does not push. It allows. The mind also realizes something else. Growth does not require suffering. Pain was never the price of progress. Consistency was. Gentle repetition. Calm exposure. Returning again and again without punishment. This is how learning settles deeply. Not through force, but through trust. As this understanding settles, comparison loses its power. Other people's speed no longer feels threatening. Other paths no longer feel like judgment. Everyone is moving through their own rhythm, and rhythm cannot be rushed. The mind no longer measures itself against others. It listens inward instead. And inward, there is patience. Thoughts now come like distant echoes. They no longer pull attention sharply. They drift by, noticed but not followed. The mind knows it does not have to answer everything. Some questions can rest. Some plans can wait. Some worries dissolve simply because they are no longer fed. Sleep deepens. Awareness fades in and out like gentle waves. The boundary between thought and rest becomes thinner. This is the place where healing happens quietly, not through effort, not through understanding, but through allowing. The body repairs itself here. The mind resets itself here, without instructions, without pressure. In this depth, tomorrow does not exist yet. Yesterday no longer matters. There is only this slow, steady rhythm. Breath in, breath out. Each breath is enough. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be in this moment. The story does not end with answers. It ends with rest. And rest continues its work long after awareness fades. The mind lets go completely now. Nothing needs holding. Nothing needs proving. Nothing needs becoming. Sleep takes over gently, naturally, fully.